Hello writers, welcome to week 5. This video is going to go over what's happening week 5 as we just finished wrapping up our unit on short story and we glide into poetry. So each unit follows the same kind of pattern. We start the unit by going over, asking the question, for this unit, it's what are poems? And then the first discussion will look at the packet that talks about poetry and gives you an introduction to poetry and goes over terminology. Remember, these packets in the beginning of each of the unit, that's what your quiz is going to be based on. So you want to make sure you take good notes or you highlight or annotate in your journal. I went ahead and clicked on this link. I'll just go ahead and open up my PDF and I'll rotate it so it makes more sense. So again, so this packet is going to go over all the different terminology for poetry. And poetry is compared to music. They're very similar. It goes over how to read poems, lyric poem, sonnet, ballad, elegy, ode. Some of the terminology, a lot of it you'll be familiar with. You've heard it throughout your life. And we'll go a little bit more into depth with it in this class, since our whole unit is going to discuss poetry and look at those kinds of things like the speaker and the audience and paraphrasing poetry. So again, you're going to scroll over, you're going to look at tone and imagery and the terminology here, and you're going to apply it to the poetry examples, the poems that are in this packet. So metaphor, figure of speech, symbol, universal symbols, literary symbol. Many of these things are going to be familiar. We have the structure, which is tricky for some people. Again, none of this needs to be memorized unless you're really into it and you want to memorize it. But the quiz is based on word for word these terms. And so most of the terms, not all of them, but many of them will be on the quiz that's due at the end of the unit, along with the journal that is due at the end of the unit. So again, for this first discussion in our new unit, it looks similar to what are short stories. You're going to look at this packet and you're going to highlight, annotate, take notes of the terminology. That is the first discussion for this week. You're going to read over the packet, you're going to highlight concepts, and then you're going to post. In one post of 2 paragraphs, you will write a paragraph about the reading or packet and something that you learned. You're going to pull and properly cite in MLA a quote or line from the reading that you think is pretty awesome or interesting and explain why. In the second paragraph, you're going to write a personal connection paragraph where you share your relationship to poetry. What has your own experience with poetry been like? And you can follow the prompt here. And so that's the first discussion for this week. The second discussion has poems by Pablo Neruda and Federico Garcia Lorca, and then Gloria Anzaldúa. We have 3 different poets here. Let me make sure this video is working. It may take a second for it to load. We have the actual text of the poem. For example, we have If You Forget Me by Pablo Neruda, Chilean poet. You have the text here, and then you also have the video of it, which is in the YouTube video. And so that one's still loading, but for each of these you have the actual text itself and then you have the video of it. And so when you're done watching and reading the poems, hopefully more than once, you can choose one of the poems above and then give us a mini analysis of it, where you write 2 paragraphs. In the first paragraph, you're going to analyze the poem's tone, speaker, symbols, images, repetition and word choice, all that, etc. from your packet. And then in the second paragraph, you're going to answer these questions. How does the poem you picked relate to today's world? Essentially, how does the poem reflect what's going on in the world today? And then how is it relevant to you? So again, you're going to play a little bit with poems, applying those concepts. That's what's happening this week in week 5. We'll be doing this for the next 3 weeks. It's important that you stay on top of your assignments because the unit will look just like the last unit. You will have discussions each week, you will have a journal, you will have a quiz, and then you will have the cumulative kind of learning, which for you is essay number 2, a poetry analysis. If you're curious about what this unit looks like, you can click on Unit 2 Poetry, and you can just look. This is a snapshot of what it looks like. And so that's what's going on for the next 3 weeks. And then we jump into drama with the play Fences by August Wilson. So make sure that you have this text if you don't already. Have a wonderful week 5. Pace yourself. Take a breath. And proceed. Enjoy poetry. As a reminder, there's a poetry slam coming up March 26th from 10 until noon. 10 a.m. until noon, March 26th, at the Diversity and Culture Festival here on the VC campus. If you're interested, you can look at your portal. There's information about that. But again, it's March 26th. I will be there judging the poetry contest. It's a poetry slam. If you want some extra credit, you're welcome to come on campus and participate or attend that event, March 26th from 10 a.m. until noon. Have a wonderful week 5.